Y'all gotta get here for this. I mean, it's not juicy. This is not juicy content. This is content that we all need to hear and become more educated on, okay? And this content is rated explicit. So if you got young ears around, you may want to put on your headphones or, wait till later on to listen. But hey, everyone, welcome to Lovely J Podcast. I'm Miss Coco Bowden, and we're going to be talking about the Diddy case, the Diddy allegations that just came out. Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this. And y'all know I usually don't, I don't know. I might start covering topics and things like this because especially those things that are dear to me and things that are being overlooked in the smaller towns. And this is why I'm talking about it, because we see this on the big scale now that it's coming out about how Diddy allegedly, raped people, how he allegedly, committed all these assaults against men, women, and children. But we don't never hear about it on the small scale of small towns. Now, first off, I ain't no therapist. I am a reporter, and I do have my media. I am media, so I will talk about it, But listen, let me just get to it. I'm sharing this because not just in the light of what Diddy has done, not just for those victims, but for victims like me who aren't believed. Look, when I heard that lawyer describing how those women and men said, and by the way, they said 60 men and 60 women. When I heard him describing how that they lost time, when the lawyer said they were losing time, they would take a drink and then when they wake up, it'll be the next day, and they didn't know what would be happening to them, but they know they would be sore. And they knew their underwear was taken off of them. And they would wake up in places, that they weren't supposed to be. Where have y'all heard that story from before? Before this Diddy scandal even started, I have been telling y'all for the last 3 years that this has been happening in my town. This has been happening to me. It's been happening to me, and that's why I want to talk about it, because I know the pain that they're talking about. The only difference with me was I was so scared I didn't go to the hospital. But I woke up where there was times where I just don't want to even go into it, explaining it. But anyways, my final straw, because it gets to a place where you can't hold it in, okay? You got to tell somebody what's going on, and you got to give them full details. See, y'all get partial details, because I ain't no fool. Just like this stuff get people hurt in celebrity world, it get people hurt in regular everyday world. But it just goes to show you, if it can happen on a big scale, anything that can happen on a big scale can also happen on a small scale. And I just had to make up in my mind that I had to tell somebody what was going on with me. And the person that I chose to tell ended up being a person that, I can't tell you who that was, but they know who they are. They're not black. They're not white. I'm not even going to put a race on them, but I'm going to tell you, it won't even nobody that I trusted. But it just got to a point where it was so overwhelming on the inside, me holding that to myself. It just had to come out where it came out at. That's all I could say. And that was not to a therapist, because I don't trust them either. Knowing what I know now about how targeted individuals are treated, I do not trust people like that. But however, though, it's the same thing that's going on in Diddy's world, where he has all these parties, and this ain't even the freak off. They say this here is something different from the freak offs. Now, the freak offs was already messing people up, but this is different. But we're going to listen to what the lawyer claims, because the lawyer also claims that a 9-year-old male was taken to an audition in New York and was sexually assaulted in the studio by Combs and others. Oh my God. If this man is found guilty of this, he deserves more than what we can say. More than what I can say. All I know is people like this, God deals with them in certain ways. God deals with them. Where the courts can't pick up and do, because it's no justice really until God handles it. I mean, I'm already worked up. Let's listen to this. Let me calm down because I'm already worked up, because I ain't gonna lie. Listening to this was triggering, but thank God that the healing that is inside of me says no triggers today. We facing this right along with them. So I'm pulling for them. I'm one of them, you know. I'm facing it right along with them. All right, we're gonna listen to what it says.
One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now, let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to a audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. One individual who was 22 years at the time.
And that's all it is on that. But if you want to find more, you can go on TikTok. There's plenty of clips floating around that you can listen to. That's a public press conference right there from the lawyers. I mean, the attorneys. They are from Texas, I believe. Now, Diddy has really... This is horrible, what we're hearing about Diddy and how he has treated people. And I do believe that he will get his. He just came off of suicide watch. Just came off of it. He's been on suicide watch for 2 weeks, I believe they said, and now he's off of it. It's hard to feel bad for such a monster. That's the only way I could... Alleged monster. I don't want to get in trouble. Parents. I want to focus on the parents for just a minute. And I know the parents didn't do this, but my thing is, parents, what about being famous, your child being famous? At what point did these parents say, okay, I'm going to look beyond what's going on with my child? I know the child had been complaining about, bleeding, had been complaining about, soreness, burning when urinating. I know that child had been complaining. At what point have parents forgotten that they are caretakers of their children? And the reason why so many kids are messed up is because parents making bad decisions, bad choices, because they are broke, because they are in debt, because they want to live a lavish lifestyle, and they set their kids out there. So I say sometimes the parents are just as much to blame as, Diddy saying, let's do this to this child. Not all parents, because some parents really don't know. But then there's a right smarter parents who do know what goes on behind closed doors, and they refuse to acknowledge it out of being prideful. And like I said, getting that money, hush money. It's hush money. That's what it is. It's really blood money, because people who have been sexually assaulted like this, a lot of them end up suicidal. They end up with these eating disorders like I have. They end up in depressive states, and they lose out on life. We function, we do what we gotta do. We barely get by, because even though we want to get by, our body says, no, remember this pain, this trauma. Our body, our mind has a thing of its own, where it says, no, I still feel the pain. No, I still don't feel safe. And so that doesn't allow these victims to live a quality, productive life that they should be living. And I'm very thankful for those that stood up for themselves, that finally came out of the closet about what was going on, because it's so many more that have not even been named. It's so many more that are afraid to come forward. I would love to start a movement like this myself in my area, for those of us who are being done like this, who are being harassed and going through the same things. You know, in my area, the thing about this is, in my area, it's not for money for us, the victims, but the money, it passes through the hands of the government and those who are affiliated with those high rollers. That's who gets the money on our end. We get nothing. We don't even know. You heard when he said the woman, wake up, don't even know what's going on. All you know is that you lose time. You lose time. That's why I keep testifying about it to y'all, because you lose time. Sometimes you might not feel nothing. You might just feel like, yeah, I can tell somebody touched me. It's not right. And if you think it's right, then you got the problem. If you think taking somebody else's body and damaging it for your own self-gratification is right, then you the one got a problem. And I pray God deals with every one of you monsters that are like that. Now, since internet, more people now have devices, so they could do, you know, all they gotta do is come in and record. All they need to do is however they knock you out. I tried to figure, you know what? I got knocked out last night. Let me be real with you, okay? I got knocked out last night, and I felt it. For the first time, I felt what was going on. Something came through my vent. And when it came through my vent, it was a scent. I can't describe the scent. And I could describe it a little bit, but I don't want to give too much of that away. But it was a scent that came up through the vent, and I was trying to fight it. I was like, oh, no. I was trying to fight it. So you know what I did? Let me go in here, see what I wrote down. I remember, the last thing I remember writing before I knocked out, I said, let me write what I can before I knock out. I wrote down, and it was at 3:09 a.m. I wrote, I smell a chemical scent that is knocking me out. And then I came back and I said, trying to fight it, it's like a fertilizer scent. And then I went out. You know, when I woke back up, that was 3 a.m. You know what time I really woke up? 3 p.m. 3 p.m. 3 a.m., 3 p.m. So you see, when I be talking about my chronic pain, the chronic pain that I deal with, a lot of this is the reason why I have the chronic pain, is because of what I go through when these sexual assaults occur. So I know we're talking about Diddy, but I'm showing you what it's like for regular people like me who don't have the help. I just pray one day that I can get the help, because once your name has been blacklisted and put on that list, everybody that you could think of hates you. family members, children, friends, ex-friends, church people. Whatever you used to do before with people, you can do no more. Because the hate is so strong that you run a risk of getting yourself hurt or possibly fed something that you don't want to be fed. Because they'll start putting stuff on your food, putting things in your cars, or they'll start showing up all of a sudden. And I'm not, and this is why many of the people that have been victims of Diddy, this is why they don't come forward. Retaliation. The retaliation I'm getting, just imagine, they getting, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to know that somewhere somebody's having sex with me and that video is going all over the world. People are getting to see this all over the world. What my vagina looks like, what my breasts look like. They're getting to see people mess over my body. They probably seeing areas of my body that I can't even reach. They're getting to see what gets put inside of me, how it gets put inside of me. These are things that the Diddy victims have gone through too. We get knocked out. We don't know what really happens. All we know is we feel stretched. We feel burnt. Burning sensations. Last night, whatever they did to me this week, I had to lay on my bed. And sometimes I just had to put an underpad under me. And the pressure from what has happened is so overwhelming. I just have to lay there and let whatever releases out just come out. I'm not talking about bowel movement. I'm talking about whatever they have left, whatever residue of what they have left inside of me. See, I'm sensitive to condoms. So if they have used condoms, it's going to hurt me. So I have to lay there and let that pressure go down on its own, go out on its own. Okay? So that's why I can relate to these Diddy victims. But you see how long it took? It took 20 years. And I pray I'm here to have the same opportunity that they have to face my abusers. I just pray that. Okay, y'all, let's read this thing off in TMC, what TMC is saying. And this article is from today, October 1st. Happy October, y'all. Let's get it. Let's do good. Oh, Halloween. All right, back to it. But exclusive details. Y'all, let me let my window up. I hear noise. Diddy allegedly sexually abused 9-year-old boy. Accusers attorney claims. Now, y'all, this is on TMZ website. If it's a lie, they told it. One of Diddy's attorneys, Erica Wolf, tells TMZ, as Mr. Combs' legal team has emphasized, he cannot address every meritless allegation in what has become a reckless media circus. That said, Mr. Combs empathetically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. He looks forward to proving his innocence and vindicating himself in court, where the truth will be established based on evidence, not speculation. Okay, let's keep going. Diddy is about to be hit with lawsuits for several assault and a bruise, and a Houston-based law firm representing 120 accusers is telling some of their stories for the first time, including allegations Diddy sexually abused a 9-year-old boy. Attorney Tony Bugsby, y'all, that's these accusers' attorney, okay, says a wave of lawsuits will be filed against Diddy in the next 30 days. Why they didn't file that before they come announcing it? Including from an accuser who claims he was only 9 years old when Diddy and others sexually abused him at the Bad Boy Record Studio in New York City. Bugsby claims Diddy lured the 9-year-old to an audition with the promise of a record deal and then allegedly sexually abused him. In addition, Bugsby claims his law firm will be filing suit on behalf of other accusers who claim they were minors when Diddy abused them, including another who says Diddy forced them to perform oral sex. Don't worry, y'all. We're labeled as explicit on this content today. Busby says another accuser was 15 years old when they were flown out to New York City to attend a party where they were drugged and taken into a private room with Diddy, where he allegedly raped her before others took turns having their way with her. A big-time attorney who has sued a bunch of celebs, including Travis Scott and Chris Brown, Busby claims his clients were raped, sexually assaulted, and sexually exploited by Diddy and his associates. And he says they were typically forced to consume a drink that was laced with Alexine, Exazine, or tranquilizers, or horse tranquilizer. As we reported, Bugsby's law firm announced Friday they were repping more than 50 alleged victims who came forward with gut-wrenching stories about what went down at Diddy's alleged freak-off parties. Busby described the mind-boggling allegations as debauchery and depravity, exacted by powerful people, and now he says there are 120 accusers who will be filing individual lawsuits against Diddy and others. It sounds like a massive issue. Bugsby strongly hinted other celebrities would be named in the lawsuits. And he said he would be suing anyone who was involved or knew about the alleged abuse and refused to put an end to things. Busby said the alleged abuse happened in well-known venues and hotels as well as private residences, mostly in Los Angeles and New York. And he said the lawsuits will include names that will shock you. Oh, wow. Nothing shocks me. Nothing or nobody. I wouldn't put it past if a parent did not sit there and assist with the raping of their child. Think about JonBenet Ramsey. That young girl, she died a baby because of what her parents put her through. So nothing is going to shock me at this point. It's parents the ones that's doing a lot of things to different people, even in my community. Okay, let me keep going. It should be noted Bugsby has not yet filed a single case in any jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Diddy is facing a mountain of other lawsuits, sitting in jail as he awaits trial following his arrest and a federal indictment. Diddy's pled not guilty to charges of sex trafficking, kidnapping, and racketeering in the federal case. Okay. Mark Angelifo, Diddy's attorney, is fighting hard for the Bad Boy Records founder, claiming the feds are gunning for Diddy simply because he's a successful black man. Sounds like the federal indictment and the already filed lawsuits are just the tip of the iceberg here. Let's see what this says.
I'm Derek Kaufman, and this is the TMZ Minute. Diddy is about to be hit with civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault and other abuse by a Houston-based law firm representing 120 accusers. Tony Busby, who's representing the...
Okay, that's just what I already read. It just sums it up. So anytime y'all want to follow the info, just follow TMZ. I'm just here for commentary. And I'm just here to, you know, really keep speaking my truth so that hopefully it will hit the right ears and, you know, I can get some help in my area. Because I can't imagine, I know the fear that comes along with this because we could lose our life at any moment. So I do know the fear that comes along with speaking up and speaking your truth. And I know the psychological warfare. You don't just got victims whose bodies have been messed with and played over, but it's a psychological battle. I would say this is 90% psychological warfare. And the other, well, let me say not 90. Let me say this is 70% psychological warfare and the other 30% is physical. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. They can stop abusing you and it still live inside of you. It'll still go on. So now you got to fight everything psychologically. That's where the battle is. Trying to understand the why. Why there was no help. Why nobody believed me. Why is everybody afraid of this man? You know, just trying to say, why don't I feel safe? That stays with you. The pain from the assault itself may go away, but the complex PTSD that comes behind it, it doesn't go away. The flashbacks that come behind it of what they do remember, because you're going to have moments when you do remember bits and pieces, and it's up to you to put those bits and pieces in order. It's like a puzzle. You saw somebody's shirt over here. You saw somebody's leg over here. It's like putting it together. Who is who? So that's why I say that it is 70% psychological warfare. Getting out of this. The money part is all good, but it doesn't account for anything because money cannot buy health. Money cannot buy a sane mind. So that's where the fight is making sure that these victims get the help that they need. Just like myself, you know, getting the help that I need is mostly now. I gotta still make an appointment with a therapist, but it starts anywhere. It starts anywhere that you can get it started. It may be through exercising. It may be through changing your diet. It may be through journaling. I do advise people to journal, but if you're going to journal, you know, you got to be aware that when you have been done like these Diddy victims, journaling, I have journaled in code. Just praying someday that people would pick up what this code is. And that's pretty much how you have to journal. Because the people like Diddy, they keep an eye on you 24/7. You're never alone. They see you when you pee. They see you when you poop, when you wipe. They see you when you take a bath. They don't leave you alone. Especially if they feel like you are a major threat. They will have eyes on you. And when the community joins in these community watch programs, they'll help watch that victim who's being assaulted. You're helping the enemy. These are the people you say you're trying to get out of the community, but yet you're helping them. That's why I don't feel sorry for those parents. I think those parents need to really own up to their part in all of this with those young children. Because parents know. They know. They know if somebody tells you to watch somebody who's never done nothing to you a day in your life, you never known them to even steal anything, even hurt a fly, and you're sitting there and all you're going to do is watch them and report back, you're part of the problem. Because the Constitution guarantees us freedom. We have a right to do what we want to do in our homes. We have a right to bear arms. We have a right to stay safe in our homes. We have a right to not be drugged up if we don't want to be drugged up. But see, people like Diddy take that away from us. They steal our freedom like that. And the fight is, how do we get past that? How do we get rid of the Diddys in the world if the communities are supporting it? How do we get rid of those Diddys that's coaching, that's teaching our young kids if the community, one more time, is supporting it? How do you not know that Diddy look-alike or act alike did not purposely plant slanderous lies on a person just so they can retaliate or get back at them for something that they don't like? The thing about a hurt dog is, when it's wounded, it will holler. And if you hurt that dog, when it see you, it's going to try to get you every time. Some of these community representatives and leaders are hurt, wounded dogs. And it didn't just start. They've been dogs. Their nature is to be predators. It's in their nature. It started when they were first abused by predators. Where you think they get it from? It happened to them first. So now they bring it to you. Because they got a little money, a little power and control with their names, their titles. But it took 20 years for these people to start talking. 20 years. That's why I keep talking. That's why I keep bringing it up. I'm going to keep on bringing it up. And if you don't like it on this podcast, that's you. Until the right help comes in, I will keep talking about it. Not every day in a sad way, because I'm not going to yes, I'm hurt. Yes, I'm in pain every day of my life. Not because I'm fat. Not because I'm obese. But when you think about what drugs are they pushing inside of me that's knocking me out? What are they doing to me when I'm knocked out? How do they get me back awake? That's why they need the cameras to see if I'm going to wake up or not after their torture. That's why Diddy got cameras all over his house. You know what's all over mine? Cameras. I don't know where they at. And they keep my body so sore I can't bend down and get on the floor and look under the beds. And I can't lift things like I used to. I'm just weak. I'm weak. But the Bible says, let the weak say I'm strong. So I'm going to say I am strong. But I right now, trying to, go through my home and find out where everything is, it's hard. I know they're there, though, because I can put on something, and by the time I get where I'm going, it's about 10 or 15 other people got on the same colors. That's not a coincidence, by the way. That's a threat. That is a community threat to you. Because when you become a threat to the community, when people lie on you, then the community bands together to come against you. That's how that works. They target you. They make sure you don't feel welcome. If you go to the store, they'll reach right over you. That's why, or they'll all get right there right beside you and start talking loud and acting like, just telling they want you to hear what they're saying, because they want you to know, hey, we got our eyes on you. We watch you 24/7. Your life becomes a soap opera to these guys and these women. These women are just as bad as the men. These women are some, they beyond freaky. These women have turned out to have kids and just pimp their kids off. it goes back to that Mocha's Voice podcast that was where they was on there talking about the schools performing low. Well, how many of those kids are being sexually abused and don't know it? Being knocked out. Because that's the new thing. It's been the new thing for the last 20 years. But nobody realizes a new thing until it becomes a new thing to somebody else. But it's been like that for 20 years. So how many of these kids been tampered with? How many of these teachers are flirting with these kids, making these young girls feel like they're number one, just so they can take advantage of their body? These kids are not flunking out for nothing. That's why I say the parents are included in there. Y'all, let me get a sip of water. I got some tea. Do I want to drink this tea? Nope. Let me drink some water. But this is how the Diddy thing works. Let's see. Let's go on here and see Diddy lawsuits. What else we can find? If he did all that mess to that 9-year-old, to those others, that's messed up. Violent sexual assault or rape. And I'm going to tell you, too, how you know they're watching you. Because you will have a lot of drones. They use drones to keep up with you. Some of those drones have weapons, sonar weapons in them. And when you're laying down in bed, sometimes how they knock you out is they send that drone to release that laser. And when that laser hits you or shocks you, like this week, I got hit with, was it this week? Let me see. No, this is Tuesday. It was last week. Last week, about 4 days out of the week, I kept getting hit with the lasers and I kept getting shocked. They kept shocking me. And when you get shocked, or you call it zap, whatever you want to call it, but you can't do nothing. You can't help yourself. It's just like being tased. You just lay there tired. It's hard to get out of bed. You can't move. And they take advantage of you. They take advantage of you. A lot of these children are not virgins. I know that's what they want to think they are. A lot of these children have been raped and sexually assaulted in their sleep. They are not virgins. People have came in and did things to our children. I'm saying children in general. And you wondering why our test scores are low? Because most of the teachers that's in position are addicts themselves. If you sit that teacher in a room for an hour by themselves and just watch what they do, you'll see how sick mentally and disturbed a lot of these teachers really are. Not only that, if you get some of these school board members, you set them in the room by themselves. Have a conversation with them. You'll see how disturbed they really are. They have to they fidget around with things. They got to keep moving. Yeah, they might can look you dead in your eye, but that's not them. That's the alternate looking you in your eye. Because if they showed the real them, they would show hurt, wounded persons. People in leadership are not always good people. Some people are in leadership because of the evil that they consume and that they are full of. And that's what keeps things going. But it comes a breaking point. Might be 10 years, Might be 5 years, might be 20 years, but somebody gonna break and tell it. See, I'm not the one. I can't make things move like that right now. But somebody somewhere is going to go through the same situation. And so many people are going to start realizing that they're going through the same situation that I'm going through until we start banding together and standing up against this targeted individual thing. Because this thing hurts us not only in North Carolina, but if I go to Florida or Georgia, anywhere in this United States, it follows because it's a network of people. So whoever put my name out there like that, you were wrong for that. To put my name on a blacklist like that. And to cause this type of hurt and pain to come to my door, my home. To cause me to become sexually assaulted and things like that. That was wrong. But that's retaliation for you. Because when you speak up against these county officials, you become a target of the town. And when you become a target of the town, you become a target of the government, your local and your extended government. And now they don't even want you to live in the United States. So they want to try to run you out. Or they use you as a pawn. You become a pawn. See, they make money. Y'all think Diddy just did all that and didn't make money off of what he was doing? He was selling them kids out like that. He made money off of them. This stuff that's going on now in these little small local areas, they're selling us. They are selling us. They are selling us. I know 20 people being sold and think they not. You can join the organization, but that don't remove your name off the list. That just means now you're going to get paid for them to target you, and then all of a sudden they start targeting each other. You see what I'm saying? They start to target each other. Because once they give in to whatever it is, whoever sets this stuff up wants, they think they're part of the team. And they are. They do become part of the team that's doing all the harassment and assaulting and raping and all that. They are part of the team. But it doesn't remove their name off the list. Even those community watchers are on the list. And they just don't know it. They are being watched too. Now, why do I say all this? I'm saying all of this because the Diddy story is not far-fetched at all. I see it right here. It's the same thing that's going on right here. The only difference it is it's a bigger scale. People have bigger money. Well, not necessarily bigger money, because we got some rich folk here in our little small town too. It ain't but 1,000 people, they say, live here. But out of that 1,000, it's about 30% of these people here that got some money. And they run the town. Some of them do. And some of them, they faking it till they make it. But they're also making money off and doing what Diddy was doing. So it's not just with Diddy. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Diddy, he had his goons. There are goons here that do what they gotta do. I had a guy tell me, he said, the guy told me to my face. I said, what are you doing? I said, you need to leave now. You know what the guy told me? He looked me in my face and he was serious. And I do believe that he would have hurt me that day if I did not move out the way. He said, I got paid to do a job and that's what I'm going to do. Mind you, he wasn't on his property. He was on our property. He was on my property. My family's property. And he looked at me with that type of authority and said, I got paid to do a job and that's what I'm going to do. And that's what he did. The goons came. I was surrounded by so many. That's why victims don't come forward. Fear. Them kids not coming forward because fear, and plus they just don't know what's going on. They know something's not right, but they don't know, they can't they can't pinpoint it. Y'all remember back in the days when we used to think that people were just getting drunk and falling out because they were drunk? People were doing things to them to get them drunk quicker. And when P. Diddy, he said it. He explained how to get the women there and keep them there. You get them there, you give them drinks, and turn up the heat. You ever been to a bootlegger's house and it been cool? Well, that's how he was keeping them there. They were turning on the heat and giving them women drinks. Those kids drinks. Anywhere you see somebody willing to do something illegal, they would do anything to you. And you know what? This scam don't only stop with kids and middle-aged women like me. It don't matter what size or your age is, but it's happening to our 80 and 90-year-olds too. They getting sexually abused too. They sure is. It happens all the time in nursing homes. And how does the money come in? Well, porn stars get paid for what they do. But women like me who is taken from, we don't get paid. What we get is sick. We get sore joints and swollen vaginas, swollen anals. That's what we get. We get cuts on our breast. I'm not going to go into that part. It's a money racket. Yeah, he was getting his freak on. But more so, he was getting his money. It's a money racket. And that's why people who talk too much, that's why they get hurt. And that's why I'm not going to really talk so much on it, because I know someday God, like I said, God's going to put the right person to mention what's going on, and it will get, because these people are, they are very dangerous. I do not recommend approaching people. When you find out they like this, do not approach them on your own. And you got to be careful which police officers you talk to and how you report things, and think that like the Crime Stoppers and stuff. Oh man. Now I ain't putting down things that have worked for the United States, but what I am saying is there are corrupt people working in these places. The police department, sheriff department, the Bureau of Investigations, the FBI, the CIA. Everybody got somebody that's broke, that's trying to make some extra money in an organization. Don't you ever forget that. Even in the churches, somebody in there is broke. And because they're trying to make that extra money. In the doctor's office, the hospitals, somebody's broke. Yeah, they driving a rich car, but they broke. So that's why they need to make this extra money off of either keeping you asleep, so that they can fondle your body and sex however they want to sex you and do whatever they want to do with you, so they can film it and put it on the black web, the dark web. Or either they're one of them who will not allow you to be treated, so that hoping that you will just someday just die. So they don't have to deal with you. You don't age out of the program. You don't age out of it. There's a market for all. Some men and women have fetishes of old women and old men doing the nasty. They'll pay for that. It's a market for sex out here. This is why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. I used to hear Mama say that all the time, and I feel like I'm sounding like her. But she used to say it all the time. This is why God destroyed the world the first time. This is why the flood happened. And we see people now doing the same old thing for the money. Oh, y'all, I need to get some air. So Diddy, he had a money racketeering thing going on. Cleaning the money through the churches. And this is why I tell you, know your scriptures. If you don't understand what the preacher is preaching about, get the Bible, go home and study it, look it up, use Google, your AIs, use listen to other people's sermons, just compare sermons. That's what we call studying. Compare sermons, see what people are saying about this interpretation of the scripture, because some of these preachers will sit there and tell you, jack me off. This is why this is explicit. I told you. They'll sit there and say, jack me off, and in the same sentence, be giving you a scripture to go along with that. They'll tell you, he that find a good wife find a good thing, and they ain't even married you, but they want you to jack them off. They want you to have sex with them, but they ain't even married you yet. They ain't even considered marrying you. They just considered fondling you and having sex with you, but they ain't considered nothing else. Preachers. I got a text message what a preacher told me. This guy was a preacher. I met him on Facebook dating. And this is what he told me. This is what he texted me. And this is why I couldn't text him back. Let me say it. Pastor. He's a pastor over 2 churches. 2. Let me see. Do I even still have it on here? I may have deleted that, y'all. I don't even think I still have them on here. I'm looking. Oh, yes, I do. He's still on here. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to treat him like I have treated pastors in the past, because I know pastors in the past have told me, hey, a man got needs. That's what they have told me, right? And I was like, I understand that, but I didn't expect you to act like that. Okay. So we're just texting back and forth one night. And I said, why you don't talk on the phone? He said, I'm romantic. I do talk on the phone. Are you romantic? I said, I don't know. And he said, really? And I said, depends. If I feel it, I can be. But if I feel a disconnect, I'm not. And I don't fake it to make it in. And I sure don't. I didn't got wise enough now. I'm not faking anything with anybody. If I like you, you will know. If I don't like you, you gonna know that too. Okay, anyway, he goes on to say, okay, would you let me kiss your beautiful lips and neck? Would you let me kiss your beautiful breasts? And I just tried to throw it off by saying, what is your favorite spot to be touched? No, that's not me. That's him. My bad. Chest and my, yeah, that was me. Chest and my, what's your favorite? He wasn't talking about what is your favorite position. Is your kitty hairy and wet, but I can shave it and stuff like that? I mean, okay, that's a preacher, right? That's a preacher. I really got up out of that. You know how I ended that? I stopped responding. I can't talk like that to people no more. I mean, when I was younger and I was doing that, it was fun. But even with that comes spirits, and you can become mentally sick going back and forth with somebody in that nature like that. But the thing is, if you get a man that everything is built around sex for him, and he's preaching, while he's preaching, he's scouting out women. Who can I sleep with this weekend? And that same sexual predator man, and I call him a predator because sometimes when you get men like this, they don't take no for an answer. So if you get off by yourself with them, they're going to take advantage of you. They're going to rape you. They're going to rape you and then look at you and say, was it good for you? As it was for me? but they be sitting there and done raped you. Don't get caught with guys like this by yourself, ladies, or fellas, because they be in the fellas too now. But a guy like this is the same type of guy that would take money from a Diddy and clean it up. He'll clean that money up for him, and you won't even know. You be sitting there and don't even realize, hey, somebody just got paid to watch you have sex with this pastor. They just got paid. I found that out a long time ago. When I first started in the gospel industry, I wasn't saved like that. But it was this one guy. I did have sex with him. And next thing I know, come to find out, other guys started asking me certain things, and I was like, what in the world? And I wondered for a long time, how did those guys know? And then finally, one of the guys finally told me how the man knew. See, what happened, they were getting paid to listen in on conversations, to read text messages. I mean, they were paying that person to see what I was saying, if I was sending him pictures or anything. By the way, if you send nudes, you might as well send them public, because everybody knows nobody can hold a nude to themselves, okay? Nobody can hold a nude to themselves. Anyways, this guy, he was charging people to see what me and him were talking about. My texts, everything. And back then, I was a good texter. I was a good sexter back then. I'm not going to lie to you. Back then, we thought didn't nobody know but us. So we text our little feelings, text our little horniness. And here I am writing all this stuff out. And next thing I knew, I'm around guys who, all of a sudden, this surge of guys started wanting to holler at me. And I was like, okay. One of them hollered at me. God rest his soul. He's dead and gone now. He passed away going on almost 2 years. But he told me the truth of what was going on. I was like, oh my God, I did not see that. Because, the enemy, y'all, let me tell you how the devil looks. The devil looks good. He doesn't look like he coming to kill, steal, and destroy you. That's why he's a master of disguise, because he doesn't look evil. He's sexy. He makes you want to be with him. He's charming. Oh, he's done told you things you ain't never been told before. You know what he got in common with Diddy? He said he can take you to higher places that you ain't never been before. He can get your name out there so you can become famous. That's how the devil approaches people who don't expect the devil. See, while you sitting back looking for the devil to come walking in with horns on and a little devil tail, no. No, ma'am, no, sir. The devil comes in looking and disguised as help and disguised as the one you need. So he was disguised as the one I needed, and I was like, yes. And this other guy, though, he got to know me. He got to know the real me, because I didn't know there was a such thing as people were paying around. I know, the hoes and the prostitutes and things like that. I'm not that dumb. I know. But I didn't know this underground thing was going on. I didn't know this thing was circulating like this in the church. And that guy told me, he said, he betted on you. I said, what? He said, he betted on you. I said, what you talking about? He betted $1 that he could sleep with you first. And I said, why you telling me this? Now you trying to start something. He said, I ain't got to lie to you. He said, I'm dying. Come on, y'all. He said, I'm dying. He said, all I can do is drink. Because he was a drinker. But he could sing, though. The boy could sing. And he had lung disease. He had sarcoidosis. He said, no more time than I got here. I got to enjoy life. So I got to appreciate my real friends. He said, all I can really do, I can't even have sex no more. He said, all I can do is drink and have fun with you. He said, I ain't going to lie to you. I can just drink and have fun with you because that's what I do. I drink for my pain because nobody understands what I go through. And I just hang around people because a lot of times I'm more lonely than people realize. And he said all that money and stuff, he had his little cuss words in there. He was like, all that money and stuff, that gospel singing and things, he said, it ain't what you think it is. And I mean, he really drilled it in me. He said, girl, you got to be careful out here. He said, you was a bet. He said, all that gospel singing that these groups do while they're there waiting to sing, they're picking out which woman they want to get up with. And they're betting on who they're going to sleep with. So see, the money thing has always been the source and the root of this type of evil, this type of sexual gratification. It's not just for the sex. There is a market for it. And when that man told me that, I could not believe it. But it made me cautious. From then on, I didn't send no more pictures. Because he told me, he said, oh yeah, I got your picture too. Your picture came through. I said, what picture? I ain't sent no picture. He said, this you? I said, yeah, that's me. And it was a picture of me in a lingerie gown. Y'all, my butt won't out, but I had my hips out. You know how you turn sideways, like kind of do a back shot, and you got on like this lingerie gown that comes right there at the butt cheek. I had that on. I mean, he showed me the picture. He said, this picture's circulating of you. And this is how networking, before cell phones was out, it was hard to, get this type of thing out. Mass, worldwide. Ain't nobody really going to sit there and take time to mail out these books unless you do run a company like Playboy. But that's how I first got circulated around in the industry, in the gospel industry. Was through the guy I thought was my friend. Instead of him being a real friend to me, he became like a pimp. He was like a pimp. I didn't even know, And why I say that is because he was shopping my pictures around to whoever would buy them for however much they would buy them. And it could be anywhere from $1 on up to $500 to $1,000. Just depends on who wanted it and what they wanted it for. My conversations were being shopped around. And for some reason, now like the chat line confessions, I could talk on the line with those people. But with that guy, I couldn't do that same thing. I don't know what it was about him. I just couldn't do it. I always just felt like it was something. But I never could, quite get it. Anyhow, that's how we end up circulating. We think we got somebody, and they sell us a dream. They sell us a reality that they've heard us mention before. They know what we want. If you go into the gospel industry or the rap industry, they know you want to be famous. They know you want to be heard. They know you want the #1 radio station in the country. To make that happen, you gotta open up some legs. One night I'm gonna sit and talk about it. You gotta open up some legs. If you want to be hired with some of the greatest record labels, what that mouth do? Hmm? If you want to become famous like that, they want to know what your mouth do. See, I didn't want to be famous, so my mouth didn't do a thing. They want to know what that body look like. What's between them legs. And not only men, but women. Women want to know too, what can you do for me? If I get you here, if I play your music, what can you do for me? If I introduce you to this famous person here who sings, what can you do for me? I had a few radio announcers that they disgusted me on my stomach to the point, and I guess they must have got the picture too that had been circulated, because they would try to talk to me, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, "Oh, I like plus size women," and I was like, no. And then I would have these preachers and apostles that would come through. We get sold, okay? We get sold. I've never been a prostitute in my life and never cared for that. I don't got anything against prostitutes, because Jesus' best friend, Mary Magdalene, was a prostitute. Well, his best friend. I don't know if that's the one it was. Well, a friend of his. It was one of them Marys, but they was a prostitute. Might not be Mary Magdalene. I take that back. I'm not sure which one. You know what? We're not going to confuse ourselves, because you remember I said the enemy becoming charming. Let's just Google it. Which prostitute was Jesus' friend in the Bible with scripture? Yeah, it was her, Mary Magdalene. I knew it. I knew it. Mary Magdalene was a former prostitute. Let me see. This is according to scripture. Wait a minute. That's who it... Well, that's the one I grew up knowing was the prostitute. I'm not sure if she was a prostitute or not, but I will definitely put that in my notes to study. It's in Luke 7:37-50. In the neighborhood, there was an immoral woman of the streets known to all to be a prostitute. When she heard that Jesus was at Simon's house, she took an exquisite flask made from alabaster, filled it with the most expensive perfume, went right into the home of the Jewish religious leader. Y'all, I gotta let some air in here. I got my windows up. I'm in the car. About to pass out. It got so hot. Religious leader, and in front of all the guests, she knelt at the feet of Jesus, broken and weeping. She covered his feet with the tears that fell from her face. She kept crying and drying his feet with her long hair. Over and over, she kissed Jesus' feet. Then, as an act of worship, she opened her flask and anointed his feet with her costly perfume. When Simon saw what was happening, he thought, this man can't be a true prophet. If he were really a prophet, he would know what kind of sinful woman is touching him. Jesus said, Simon, I have a word for you. Go ahead, teacher. I want to hear it, he answered. It's a story about two men who were deeply in debt. One owed the bank $100,000 and the other only owed $10,000. When it was obvious that neither of them would be able to repay their debts, the kind banker graciously wrote off the debts and forgave them all that they owed. Tell me, Simon, which of the two debtors would be more thankful? Which one would love the banker most? Simon answered, I suppose it would be the one with the greater debt forgiven. And he said, you're right. Jesus agreed. Then he spoke to Simon about the woman still weeping at his feet. Do you see this woman kneeling here? She is doing for me what you didn't bother to do. When I entered your home as your guest, you didn't think about offering me water to wash the dust off my feet. Yet she came into your home and washed my feet with her many tears and then dried my feet with her hair. You didn't even welcome me into your home with the customary kiss of greeting. But from the moment I came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. You didn't take the time to anoint my head with fragrant oil, but she anointed my head and feet with the finest perfume. She has been forgiven of all her many sins. This is why she has shown me such extravagant love. But those who assume they have very little to be forgiven will love me very little. Then Jesus said to the woman at his feet, all your sins are forgiven. All the dinner guests said among themselves, who is the one who can even forgive sins? Then Jesus said to the woman, your faith in me has given you life. Now you may leave and walk in the days of peace. And you know what? That's so beautiful right there. And that is exactly why I can sit on this podcast and talk to y'all openly and as dear-hearted with love. Because I know any sins that I did commit back then and the acts that I was doing, I thought we were going to have a relationship and, have a family together. That's what I thought. And the whole time I didn't know that he was pimping me out. He was pimping. I want to believe that maybe he got some video footage. I want to believe that. I do. I want to believe that. Because, and I'm not saying that I was aware of it. I wasn't aware that he was recording things. But it was certain things that the friend that told me what was circulating around about me, it was certain things that he didn't tell me all, but he said he saw enough. And I was like, oh, wow. Instantly, the first thing is you go through this shame mode, this grief, this guilt. Anything that could be hurt is hurt. Pride, all of it is hurt because, people saw my body. They saw, what I can do, what I can't do. They heard my conversations, my struggles, and sometimes, before you even have sex, you sit there and you go through, what you're going through in your life. You talk a little bit and just work your way into it. And my intimate moments, people heard, people saw. There were parts about my body back then that I didn't even like. I had to grow into liking my body. When I was in my 30s, I didn't like my body. I tried to keep my body covered up. Till one day this guy said, why are you covering up your body like that? But what I'm saying, it's a market for sex. From adults and kids, it's a market for it. These jails are not full of pedophiles for nothing. There are predators out here. There are school board members assigned to watch certain children. They assign certain teachers to watch certain children because they experiment on these children. And I'm not just talking about in my county. I'm talking about worldwide. They experiment on these children to see how much they can take, how it affects them. And then you know what else they come to? Now watch now, I'm finna really blow your mind with this. Then this is where the pharmaceutical drug companies come in at. When they need guinea pigs, they come to those targets. The kids that you saw once was smart. You know why they're not smart now? They're being experimented on. Covert operations, psyops, covert operations all through the United States for pharmaceutical. You know, people are wise now. They don't want to be guinea pigs anymore. So when you don't have guinea pigs, what do you use? You got to force people to join in these experiments against their will. Most of the time, people that are depressed, they was never depressed until they started hanging with certain people. They were never depressed. That's why you got to be careful of your friends. Your friends may be connected and only befriending you so that they can get the money off of you. Family members may be only speaking to you so they can get the money off of you. This is the type of world we live in. And Diddy just happened to got caught. Diddy got too greedy. He got caught. And that's what it really takes to get caught, to greed and to hurt somebody's feelings. If you hurt the right one, that one is going to speak up. Or you get a dog bigger than you that barks. That's when they start telling on each other then. That's when God starts allowing them to confuse each other. And then they all get in trouble. Well, I feel like I've talked enough about that. But just know it's a money market out here. I got tired. Your age, your color, it doesn't matter. Your size, it don't matter. Look, big as I am, the heaviest weight I got this year, 480 pounds. And they were still lifting my legs. If they got to get more than one person to help, they will. I never forget that time I woke up, it was 4 white men over top of me. And then just like that, I was back out. Before I could really get, take in anything, I knocked back out that quick. All right, y'all. So what I'm going to do is let y'all go. Because I'm tired now. I feel like I done did a lot. Don't forget, even if somebody is a prostitute, keep in mind, it might not be by choice, okay? You'll know when it's by choice. But some people don't have a choice. And I'm going to put this out here. I'm going to go as far as saying this right now. If you run across my pictures on the website, nude or not, if it's not something pertaining to articles that I write or gospel music on my TikTok videos, if it's pertaining to nudity and things like that, I did not give permission for my body to be... I did not give permission for anybody to take pictures or videos of my body. Not one time. I'm a victim too. Me too. I did not give permission. I'm going to say that again. I have not given permission for anybody to take pictures of me naked. If you see a video of me and I'm sleeping, somebody having sex with me, I did not give that. I did not give consent to have sex. I did not give permission. And I want to bring that up probably every time I come on the podcast, as often as I can, because I never know what you guys are seeing on your end. But if you see that about me, I did not give consent. I did not give permission to any of that. I was violated. I'm a victim. And when I did try to report several times, I was told, well, just go to the hospital. If it happened, no, they said, instead of them coming out speaking to me right then, they said, if it happens again, go to the hospital. So, nobody wanted to talk to me about it. So I had to just let it go. And just as those people let it go, 20 years later, it came back. And now they all talking. So, I pray, I'm going to speak into my life. It ain't going to take 20 years. It's going to be sooner than later. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all have a great one.